This video is about supplier performance management. Prior to the 1980s, trading relationships were pretty much arm's length. Sure, there were exceptions like between the Ford Motor Company and Bridgestone, for example, but generally suppliers were seen as undistinguished, except in terms of cost. This began to change when the automotive industry adopted Japanese manufacturing techniques that were in fact just long forgotten and perfected American ideas. These ideas were emulated in other companies like General Electric, and over time became the standard approach to business. Suppliers were no longer undifferentiated. They were strategic partners whose experience could be leveraged to hasten speed to market, determine product or service features, increase quality and lower cost, right? Well, that's the fairy tale. The reality is more nuanced. These days, it's fair to say that most companies no longer make commitments to sources based on one-time representations. Instead, they develop familiarity with suppliers over a long period of time. Low-risk engagements lead, and these get more complex and lucrative as familiarity increases. However, it's naive to think that these are commitments. These same companies understand the perils of being overcommitted to a source, and for this reason, they like to divide work between redundant sources, called multi-sourcing. This is especially true in manufacturing. However, how this is done is really the innovation. Before that, we need to talk about strategy. Have you heard of that new restaurant? The one downtown? It has great food, the prices are low, and there's always a seat waiting. Of course, this is impossible. In business, all products and services are distinguished by one and maybe two of price, quality, and availability. In this context, quality has its common meaning, but it also means proprietary features, novelty, and artistry. Which is most important to us? Answer: availability. Without it, the other two mean nothing. Between the other two, price and quality, one is generally more important to us than the other, and that's something that senior management prioritize. However, management direction is notoriously fickle, and you really want to source for both. This is exactly what happens. Most companies have a supplier hierarchy, and it's expressed in terms of a triangle shape. The most coveted suppliers are at the top of the triangle. Below that, there's an aspiring class, and below that, there's a broad swath of transactional parties that are undistinguished. Let's call it 3 levels. You're giving the lion's share of the work to familiar and reliable trading partners, the one in the first tier. Then you're giving some of it to one of more less-known suppliers in the second tier. How do you decide who gets in the second tier? Well, it's really a product of your strategy. If management is focused on cost management, it's going to be a less costly type of supplier. If management is focused on quality, then it's going to probably be a more costly supplier. You're then going to communicate the following messages to each. To the Tier 1, we're doing great. All things being equal, we prefer to work with you, but right now you need to know that this other company is doing great. Improve your quality or decrease your cost or things may change. To the Tier 2, keep doing what you do. However, if you want to grow your business, you need to do this. The this is whatever the strategy on the day emphasizes. To be clear, this messaging is much more sophisticated in practice. It often includes a large number of data points, graphs, and lengthy meeting where performance is scrutinized. But the point in the end is succinct and well understood. The business is never wholly earned. The sales cycle is continuous. Performance matters. Is this unfortunate? Probably. But it is business. The goal is to develop familiar trading relationships, but not to overcommit. This ensures consistent quality and cost management, but also availability in the event of supply disruption from one source owing to labor disruption, geopolitical instability, or natural disruptions like a weather event. Supplier performance management is a misnomer. The purchaser doesn't manage the supplier's performance. They do that. What we mean by this is that we have a means of influencing the supplier to ensure alignment with our needs. Our muscle is the marketplace.